welcome to another episode of the Monday Morning Coach Show. I'm your host, Willie Snyder, here in Denver, Colorado, joined by my awesome partner in crimes, King James Stallcup, over there in Longhorn country, the weeping Longhorns.
Yeah.
But, like I say, they'll soak them up. They'll soak up those tears and get back in it, only being a one-loss team. I don't think that's too big of a deal.
Nah, it's a 12-team playoff. I mean, I still think them Georgia probably going to win out, and they're going to play in the SEC championship.
See, you have to be nicer to Daniel. He's backing you up, bro. Look at Daniel over there.
Oh, he's talking about the Cowboys. Okay, I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
No, he called me right after the game too. He's talking about the Longhorns, but we'll see. The Cowboys, they're in a kind of a little bit of a weak division over there in the East, so
Yeah, we'll see
be
what
all right.
happens. I ain't worried about it. It seems like teams are losing, and I mean, the teams you think are going to win are not winning. Except for a few. I mean, it's just every week is just. I mean, of course, Georgia and Texas. I mean, it can go any way. A few breaks here and there, and
it's tough to play on the road,
it is.
I think they had they didn't serve the right pretzels on the bus and stuff. So I mean there was a lot of factors you factor in on it.
Well, I just sort of look at it as it'll change. I mean, you could see them go to the SEC championship, Texas beat them, but everybody still think Georgia could beat Texas, and the other way around. I mean, and the only difference is whoever wins the SEC championship is going to get a bye, in the playoff. So, and there's still some good teams that's got to play. I mean, LSU, A&M's playing good. Missouri doesn't look that good, in my opinion.
Right.
In Alabama, you might not make the playoffs. I mean,
Daniel's taking Ravens, Chargers. I actually have the Ravens up there. I think I have Ravens top 5 in my power rankings. Chargers, yeah, I could see it. Like I say, I think I got Zay Flowers on my fantasy, but I pretty much crushed in my fantasy this week. I think I went 3-1 in my 4 leagues, so I did pretty good. 1 in the Chatter League, so me and Rhino are tied for first in Chatter League, so that's pretty cool.
That's the one you really want to win.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys saw. Did you see that one where Mahomes ran that touchdown in, and the defensive back freaking ran into him, and just basically he just leveled him? So that's what I thought of when I found this meme this week.
Oh, let's cue it up.
I think he even gave him that look too, like when I saw it. It was like, "You want some more, punk?" But that was pretty funny. It looked like he just he was going in, and then it looked like Mahomes wasn't even really trying to lower his shoulder, but it was just ran right into his shoulder pad and just got leveled. But
yeah,
that was pretty funny.
I'll tell you, there's some good games. I've got. I could have added 1 or 2 more for the next week, for games of the week. But, I just, the ones I was like, I think this will be a good, Texas Vanderbilt. Who would have thought that'd have been a big game? But Vanderbilt's in the top 25. So,
right.
I left that game off, but I've got other ones for next week that are going to be really good games we're going to look at.
Well, and it's crazy with Kansas City because I picked up Pacheco in the draft. I think he was my second pick in the draft, and he's been on injured reserve this whole time. I pick up Kareem Hunt, and he crushes for 18 points or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think he had two touchdowns, maybe 1 rushing touchdown, 1 receiving touchdown or whatever, maybe just 2 rushing touchdowns. But it was just crazy because, I even did good with Kareem Hunt as a backup. So, it's just, when you got good teams, they're just going to play good, so it doesn't
That's
matter
right.
what players you put in there. So
It's so weird because it changes week to week. I mean, it really does. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, almost everybody's picking Alabama to beat Tennessee. Tennessee won. You know, I mean,
right,
it just goes in Michigan. Michigan, they won't even be on the podcast for the rest of the season. I think we've had them on 3 times, and uh, I think they won one against USC. I think so it was, and then they lost again. So they're out. They're out of the top 25. They're not coming back. So
right. I think they were like 7 last week, weren't they?
no, I think they were like they were 18 or 20, something like that. So
Yeah, I
they
thought they
dropped.
got up
They're
there.
definitely not there anymore. They've lost 3 games. They're out. So,
Right.
but let's go ahead and get it queued up, and we'll take a look
All
at
right.
the standings, see who's all there.
Some college. It's time for King James's college breakdown and ranking.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
you'd
funny.
actually. I was gonna tell you I was messing around this weekend getting description for my podcast, and it was all said something like, "Oh, are you gonna have King James on your podcast?" Yeah, so even AI calls you King James, so
Oh, really?
it's getting
That's
around, man. I don't know.
well, we made so much fun about it, and it's funny because they're the ones came up with the name. Now they're saying we didn't say that. Yeah, you did. Everybody knows it, and we made a joke about it. Now it's sort of become sort of like a thing. I think it's funny myself.
I
So
do too.
he was saying something, and I told him, I said, no, that's not what the audio said. I said, you're playing word salad. I said, he didn't say receptacle outlet. He said receptacle. I said, you're trying to twist the words. I told him, I said, why don't you just go ahead and admit it and just bow to the altar of King James? he was
That's
mad
it.
as hell when I said that.
Oh yeah.
I was laughing as I was putting it down. I go, should I put this? I was like, hell, screw it. I don't care. It's like, I thought it was funny. So,
All right, we'll
anyway,
get King James's college breakdown now.
you know what was interesting? Dad and I were talking about this, and he was like, "Who do you think's going to be in the playoffs?" And we were talking about it yesterday. We went and ate at where did we go eat? With uh, oh God, I can't remember the name of it. Now it's a Mexican food place where they do. God dang, my mind's going blank. But they make their own uh, chips, but they're done like the Fritos. And man, I've just lost my. I want to say things, but that ain't it. Anyway, we went and ate there. Anyway, we were sitting there talking, and he said, "Who do you think's going to be in the playoffs?" And I said, "Well," I said, I've been thinking about this a little bit, and I honestly think you're probably going to see 2 teams from the 4 major conferences. So you're looking at the SEC with 2, Big Ten with 2, ACC with 2, and the Big 12. The way it's looking right now, so that means you've got 8 teams taking up spots.
I could see Penn State being in there.
Well, let's think about it. I personally think whoever is in the conference championship, I think they're going to get in.
Right.
So, say Georgia and Texas went out, they're in the conference championship. So, whoever wins that is going to get a bye. And, uh, but I think that would be 2 spots. And then looking at schedule, I think Oregon's going to go undefeated probably. And then that brings you into looking at Ohio State. If they went out, they would play again. So that there would secure 4 spots. Now, if Penn State, I can't remember. I have to go back and look who all was playing each other. Because I'll tell you another team you need to look at right now too, and take into consideration is going to be um, uh, Indiana.
Yeah.
Okay, and Indiana
And
right
Tennessee
now they're
too.
number 13. Okay, and Indiana they they got Washington, Michigan State, Michigan, and then they got Ohio State and Purdue. If they keep playing the way they're playing, I mean they whooped the hell out of Nebraska last week. But if they beat Ohio State, this will get interesting, and I'm going to tell you
Yeah.
why. Because if you look at Ohio State has to play Penn State.
Right.
Okay, so if Ohio State, which they play in 2 weeks, Penn State wins, I can tell you now, it'll Indiana will come in that game undefeated. And if Indiana wins, I can tell you right now, Ohio State doesn't make the playoffs. Because
Right.
I think that will be 3 teams. Okay. So that's how I'm sort of looking at this. And then you're going to be looking at an at large that'll come in from the SEC. That'll be that. Well, what gets interesting about that is because uh, if you go and look at LSU's got a little bit of tough schedule. They got this. This will be a game of the week next week. They're playing Texas A&M. Both of them are 6-1, I think. If
Right.
whoever wins that, I think has a spot going towards making it to the playoffs.
Well, and you look at Miami too. They played really good game. Like they looked pretty solid. I mean, they weren't really playing a really strong opponent, but
Yeah,
I
and
just thought
see,
that they.
I think Texas A&M is going to be really good. Now, this will be interesting if let's say Texas A&M beat LSU. Okay,
Mhm.
they're probably winning the rest of their games until they get to Texas. And if they lose to Texas, that's a 2-loss team. Who would you, and say Alabama won out? Who would you put in before them? I'd put A&M in
Right.
because they beat LSU, they beat Missouri, and uh, uh, the only game they lost was to Notre Dame. Now that becomes interesting because now you've got to look and I can tell you that this will be one of the games of the week next week, which I'm looking forward to seeing. But I think Navy's going to give Notre Dame all they want.
Yeah.
And then the next to the last game of the year, Notre Dame has to play Army. Now you've got Army and Navy ranked 23 and 24.
Yeah.
So
And for some reason, I don't know why, it seems like Notre Dame always has Navy's number. They always somehow come on top of the Navy games. But Army, man, the Army team is strong, man. They're running attack just every time, just amazes me.
yeah, and I think they got these playoff predictors here, and this is these have been going up and down and everything. If you look, they've got right now. That will
Cause
be
yeah,
actually a
Boise
good game because
State.
Boise State has a chance. UNLV dropped out of the top 25, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're
Uh,
right.
they're not there anymore, but Boise State is number 17 in the AP. That's the one we really want to look at. So I think Boise State may be in that large in this.
Right.
But just looking at it, if you look, you probably got Texas and Georgia if they went out, and I would secure those two. Then if Ohio State wins out in Oregon, those two are in. Then you'll have. I think there will be. Yeah, they sure did by 3 points. And when you look at that, uh, let's just say uh, you look at Tennessee, for instance. Okay, Tennessee, they only got one hard game. Well, they got two, I guess say, but they got Georgia and Vanderbilt would be their two hardest, I would think. Now,
Right.
if Tennessee wins out, that's going to be interesting because there'll be a one-loss team.
Yeah.
Georgia ended up beating Texas. I think they would play for the championship. Tennessee would.
True.
So that if that happened, I can already tell you if Texas wins out, they're going in. So to me, that's your three right there. And it really at that point A&M would have lost two. And looking at LSU, I have to go back.
They already have 2 losses, right? LSU.
No, LSU has one.
Only
LSU
one? Okay.
lost the first game of the year, USC, but
Right.
they have to play Texas A&M and Alabama back to weeks, and then their other hard one is Vanderbilt, and the last game of the year is Oklahoma, and Oklahoma, well, they're a train wreck. So
right. I would almost say that if any team's in that top 20 at this point of the season, they have that chance to be in the championship.
sure, that's what I'm saying. It's going to go back and forth. I believe if Notre Dame loses one more, I don't think they're getting in as an independent. I think there's other teams played harder schedules.
I could see Notre Dame moving up if they play strong against Navy and Army because those are 2 big games for them.
Oh, sure. And when you look at it, if I think it'd be interesting. Let's just say you had Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee. There's 3 spots right there. Okay. Then you got Oregon 4, Ohio State, and then you have whoever is the one-loss team. I think you're going to get a chance to see Penn State and Indiana in there. So just say you pick one. That's 6 of them right there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then I think you got 2 from the Big 12 that are probably going to be there. And
BYU's probably going to be in the conversation.
It would be BYU and Iowa State are probably going to play more than likely because I don't even think they play each other during the regular season. So
right.
if they're there playing for the Big 12 championship, one loss, I think that's 2 teams. That gets you to 8 teams. Then you got the ACC. Miami's going to be there. Okay. Yeah. Now this gets interesting because if you got Miami there, the other team I think if they went out that's got a chance to be there, I think is Clemson.
Yeah, I was just going to say they're in the ACC, aren't they?
Yeah, Clemson is playing really, really good. And you can see they're right at the bubble right now at number 14, 41% chance. I'm saying they went out and they lose in the ACC, or say they won, Miami would be the one, they would be with 2. I think those 2 teams will go. So now you're at 10 teams.
Yeah.
Now it gets really, really complicated who's going to go in.
Yeah, because you got A&M that could slip in there in all those spots.
Well, if you think about it, they're going to give one at large, which I think is going to be Boise State.
Yeah.
If they went out. So Boise State goes to 11. There's only 1 spot left. So if Notre Dame wins out, Notre Dame's getting that spot. So there's your 12 teams.
Yeah.
That's just where I think it is headed right now. And you can see.
I could see Notre Dame making the big dance. They're sitting in that 12th spot right now, but I don't know. Like I say, a loss to Navy or loss to Army, that could change.
Sure, it could. That's what I'm saying. And now, say Army puts a whooping on Notre Dame. That could be the other spot that gets filled.
Yeah. Good.
It could be Army or Navy. That's why this is going to be very interesting.
Or even like you said, SMU's in the conversation now too. They weren't a couple weeks ago. They weren't even in the conversation in that top 25.
I know, but it's going to be hard to put SMU over an undefeated Army or Navy team that beat Notre Dame.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm saying. It's going to be very interesting because that's what I'm saying. If Texas wins out and say Tennessee wins out, I would assume it would be Georgia and Tennessee that are going to play for the championship.
Yeah, so, that's rough how far Texas dropped.
Well, they dropped to 5. I mean, you're in the top 5. You're still considered one of the best teams. I mean, we'll get to that game here in a little
Georgia was just sitting at 5, though, so.
Yeah, I mean, like next week, what do we have for one of our games of the week? Let me look here at my schedule so I'll know who I did. But
So are you gonna do Notre Dame Navy as one?
I've got Notre Dame and Navy. I've got Oregon and Illinois, and Alabama and Missouri.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then
All
the
right.
next. Oh no, wait. No, I did not do that one.
Timeout. Timeout.
Time out. I did Texas A&M, Texas
Okay.
A&M and LSU.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
All right,
So
and time in.
uh, looking at those next week, who do we got? If I'm not mistaken, I think you're going to see Ohio State and Penn State play. So one of those are going to lose, and that's going to mean Miami and Texas are going to move up. Tennessee's going to move up above them, and
Right.
LSU will go above them if they beat A&M. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
So that's a whole
when you're
shift right
looking at
there.
this is really getting interesting. And the team that is impressing me a little bit is Indiana. And if you go over and you look at what they got here, you pretty much have got the same layout right here. What people are thinking at this point. I mean, there's a few little difference. You know, the AP had Tennessee above LSU and had Texas above Miami, but it doesn't really matter. And if you look, both of them, they got Clemson at number 9 right there. Then you see Iowa State and BYU right there on the 12. That's what I'm saying. And right now they've got Indiana moved up to 13. That's what I'm saying. If let's say if Penn State beats Iowa State, if they beat Ohio State, or let's say Ohio State beats Penn
That's
State,
gonna be a tough game. Where is it in Ohio State?
I can tell you
Cause,
real
cause
quick.
Penn State doesn't play as well on the road. They're a lot better team at home.
I don't remember where they were playing, but I will tell you here pretty quick. Let's
And Ohio State's kind of the same way. Like if they're in Penn State, I could see them not playing as well either.
Yeah, let's see. They're going to play at Penn State.
Ooh, that's gonna be a game, boy.
Yeah,
That's gonna be
I
a
was going to tell
game.
you, there's so many good things that are going to be coming the rest of the season. It's going to be really interesting watching how these rankings go up and down. So, uh, as of right now, I just, I'm thinking there's 3 teams from the SEC, 3 from the Big Ten that gets you to 6, 2 from the Big 12 that gets you 8, 2 from the ACC gets you to 10. And are we possibly going to have 2 at-large bids here if Notre Dame don't win
True.
out? You see, uh, I mean, there's so many. That's one reason I like doing this because you get to really see how things are transpiring through the season. And then when we got to our games of the week this week, we had Georgia beat Texas 30-15. And I can tell you, I watched every bit of this game. And if you look, you'll see the yards were it was pretty much right there together. You don't
Right.
see much difference. Both of them had turnovers. Okay.
Right.
Texas, um, they had 4 turnovers, and Georgia had 3. I'm telling you, the and you look at the time of possession, it's under a minute. So it goes to show you it was. I'll show you what was the difference in the game. Okay, if you look at the stats and everything, this is a competitive game.
Okay.
Okay, and when you get over here and you start looking, I'm going to tell you what didn't look good. Quinn Ewers looked terrible. He did not play the type of game that you expect to see out of him. And
Didn't they bench him and then put in Arch and then take
they
Arch
did.
back out?
They did. And I will tell you, watching the game, there were receivers open, and it you I'm we were watching the game, and I'm going to tell you exactly what was said. Quinn Ewers, looking at his eyes and everything, his expression, you know who he looked like? Dak Prescott.
Oh.
He looked like he was lost in another world, in another dimension. He was scared. He just looked scared out there. And I'll say this: the first half of the Oklahoma game last week, he was sort of the same way. It's like he's scared to get hit now. He got hurt and he's scared to get hit. But you look at the receiving yards, you look at the rushing yards and everything. You know, there's 34 negative yards there that took them down to a team rushing of 29. That was the story of the game, and you're going to see that here in these stats right here.
Right. The one you did mention something that I want to touch on. There was at least 3 times where I saw receivers wide open with nobody around him, and he didn't even see them.
Yeah, as I'm telling you, he was scared. He wasn't like, there was one would have been a first down, and he starts backing up and he throws off his back of his foot and ends up coming short. The receiver has to come back to get it, and he catches it but goes on his knees. If he steps into the pocket, takes the hit, he's probably off to the races. And he missed another guy that was right down the middle. The running back come out. He missed that, and there was nobody there. He would have got a touchdown. I mean, it was just play after play after play. He did not deliver. And I'm going to say this also, the offensive line did not play good either. And that's surprising. But I think a lot of it had to deal with, it looked like Ewers wasn't even moving in the pocket. It was just like, I don't even know how to quantify what he did, but I'll say this: he keeps playing like that, he's going to be on bench, and he's not going to be drafted this year.
True.
I think they're going to put Arch in, but we'll see. But if you look, they had 7 tackles, but I want you to look more at, they had 10 tackles for loss. And Texas had 1 sack and 4 tackles for loss. But a lot of that was due to the simple fact Texas was playing a defense and keeping them front where they wasn't getting no big plays. And, I mean, the defense played freaking excellent. I mean, they kept them in check the whole game. And it just seemed like, I'll say this. If you look at what happened and where the turnovers took place, there were 4 turnovers within the 30 and Texas side of the field, and the first of it within the 35-yard line.
Right.
You can't put your defense in that position 4 times in a row. And to me, that was the difference in the game right there. Because if you look at everything else, it looks like it was a tight game.
Yeah,
all you got to do is.
That was one thing I did notice. You said there was 7 turnovers between both teams. It seemed like Georgia capitalized on them early, and I think that was a big difference in the game too, because it seemed like Texas initially they would go down there and they couldn't capitalize. They couldn't put it in the end zone, and then they just try to settle for a field goal. And you just can't win games like that.
And I'll tell you another thing. If you look when Texas was coming down, that they needed to get down there and score real quick. I mean, they were down there and screwed up. But Ewers, it was like he just thought he had all day just to sit there. He ran the clock off. I couldn't even tell you how much time he ran off the clock by not getting up there, getting the ball, and getting up there and getting offense going. It's just like he would sit there and he'd look over the sideline and get a play. I was like, you mean to tell me that you don't practice this when you got to do a hurry-up offense? Y'all don't already have plays that are already set up and what you're going to run? I mean, it was.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing to notice too, because I noticed a lot of teams this week, whether it was NFL, college, anything, when they got down and they started getting in that hurry up zone, the ones that started just like slicing and dicing the defense, they actually ended up pulling it off. You'll see one with my final countdown winner, the Detroit Lions this week. Man, Detroit played an amazing game against the undefeated Vikings.
Yeah, it was amazing watching this game, and
Yeah.
I was just like, I I think Ewers don't get it out of his head and start playing like he wants to go to the NFL. I think Arch is going to take a spot. That could that
Yeah.
I just I just think it's going to happen. All right, then that brought us to Tennessee and Alabama. I watched this game. It was freaking fantastic. you
Yeah.
know,
I mean, I really liked just the way that Tennessee came out, kind of set the tone, or like right in the beginning. I mean, to me, that was just they were just we're gonna run it, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and they just set the tone.
yeah,
I really thought their offense kind of dictated what they were gonna do.
and one of the things that I had stated is that um, when you watch Alabama, their defense isn't as good as what they're used to seeing. Now,
Right.
granted, they only gave up 194 yards passing, but they gave up 220 yards rushing.
Yep.
That is huge. And Tennessee actually had one more turnover than Alabama, but when you look at it, Tennessee they were quick striking, where they're
Yeah.
rushing and everything else, and uh, you know, Alabama had the ball almost 6 minutes longer, but that didn't matter. And when you come over and you look uh, uh, what the quarterbacks and everything did, Jalen Milrow, he had two interceptions. Now, one of them, of course, was at the end right there that they made the interception and sealed the game. But uh, that Dylan Sampson for Tennessee, he averaged 5.3 yards a carry, and only one of them was a long one of 36 yards. But they had two long runs at 36 and 27 yards. That's pretty good. I mean, it really is. And Brew McCoy, he played really good. Ryan Williams, I'm just gonna get it. That kid's a freaking stud. Uh,
Yeah.
he's
Isn't he
only
only
seven.
like 17 too or
Yeah, he's
something?
only 17. He's freaking
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna give it to him. That kid, shoot, he's a freaking stud. But when you look at it, one of the things I harp on quite a bit is sacks and tackles for loss, where you can see this one little thing can be the difference. But Tennessee had 9 tackles for loss compared to 4 for Alabama, and they both had 3 sacks. So the tackles for loss, I think, were one of the big clinches here that took care of this game for Tennessee. Tennessee defense is actually playing really, really good.
Yeah,
And
and I think the thing I noticed too about Tennessee's defense is they were hitting those gaps and they were kind of run blitzing, and when you run blitz and guess right, it really helps out.
mhm,
And if you do that 9 times, that could be 9 first downs. So
sure.
um,
And if you look at this game and everything, there was no real big things that took place here. You cancel out. There was one interception by Tennessee returned for 54 yards, but Alabama had one that returned for 41 yards.
oh,
So
look who we have in. We got Moss up in the house. Oh yeah, dude, we're gonna start doing some raids. We're gonna go over and raid some people's channels for Monday nights, moving forward. But Evans TD so far, and uh, yeah,
and
man,
then
that's crazy.
the last game of the week we had was Illinois and Michigan, and pretty much Illinois just controlled Michigan from start to finish, really. I mean, Michigan, their offense is not really that good this year. And
Right.
when you come in, you look at it, uh, Michigan did have more total yards, and they did control the time of possession. But once again, if you can run the ball successfully and you're getting close to 200 yards, you're controlling a lot of what's taking place, and you
Oh, we
can
got another
see that.
Michigan fan in the house.
I'm going to agree with you.
Uh
I, you know, I when they played, Michigan has a great defense. I mean, they got a really good defense. They got two guys on the offensive line and one in the secondary that are going to be first, second round picks. I mean, they really got some really good interior guys there, but their offense is lacking. And when you look at it, uh, I like to say, yeah, uh, uh, isn't Indiana quarterback hurt? I think he got hurt this last game, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think
I
he did.
know. I know there was a few quarterbacks that got hurt and came back, but I don't
Well,
know if that was one
he
of them.
got hurt, and the guy that took his place had 4 touchdowns.
Wow,
I think 3 receiving, 1 rushing, or something like that. I was just catching
crazy.
parts of that. They were talking, oh, Nebraska's back. No, Nebraska, you're not back. Hate to tell you, you're not back. But when you come in and you look at this,
Curtis
Curtis Rourke,
Rourke,
yeah,
huh?
yeah, he's out.
Oh, he's a Canadian.
All right.
He's a Frenchie,
But
huh?
look at Illinois' defense: 5 sacks and 7 tackles for loss, where Michigan only had 1 sack and 8 tackles for loss. And the reason that is because Illinois was running the ball; they wasn't throwing a lot. So
Right.
that is why I like to go back and show these things, because it really shows what took place in the game. And you look at the uh, kick returns, punt returns. Michigan had one each, but Illinois never returned a kick or punt. Nothing there to do. And uh, by looking at it, you would say, well, it looks like Michigan would have won this game. They controlled the clock, they had more yards, but no. Illinois was making the plays when it counted, and
Sure.
their defense had even though Michigan was doing, if you can go down the field and do real good, but you get a sack or something and move them back, when you start counting those sacks, those are drive killers.
True.
And I believe
100%.
that's what happened. I didn't watch this game. I didn't have time to watch it, but
Yeah, and just to let you know too, James, I did send Mossy the guest link, so you're always
okay,
welcome to come up with us, Moss. So you got that guest link anytime you want to
all
jump
right.
in with us.
So next week, these are the games that we have on tap. We got Notre Dame and Navy. I'm looking forward to actually watching that game. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to it.
I'll be
And
watching
then we
that one.
got Missouri and Alabama. I don't think Missouri's that good, but if they beat Alabama, more power to them. That's moving them up with a chance to get in to the playoffs. Um, Alabama, I don't know
Monday
what's
night
going to happen with
touchdown.
them. And then LSU and Texas A&M, both are 6-1. I think this is going to be one of those games that uh, whoever wins probably has a good inside shot to get to the playoffs.
I agree with that. Uh oh,
Yeah.
penalty. I thought for a minute Mossy was saying there was a touchdown, but he said there was a flag on the play.
Okay. And that gets
So
you through the college sports of the week.
awesome job, sir. Well, good job. You threw it down.
Well,
Um,
I like going through them because it actually really shows what took place.
yeah,
Through
we could definitely get Moss on next week to
He's right.
talk
Missouri,
about.
Bama's going to be very interesting. Um, you know, I think, you know, Vanderbilt beat Alabama. They're going to play Texas week, but I think their quarterback was a big reason they beat Alabama. I think just like they did against Georgia, why the game, you know, yard wise and all of that was so close was because they had a spy on Beck, and I think that quarterback's going to come out. And they use LaFau and Anthony Hill to do the spine. I think they're going to do the same thing. I think Vanderbilt's going to have a hard day against Texas, and I think Texas is going to be pissed they lost anyway. So
Yeah, I could see Cam Ward in the conversation for Heisman, but oh dude, 10-0 Buccaneers. Dude, that's awesome. I chose to start Mayfield over who'd I have? Kyler Murray. So
that'd be a good
I
one.
decided to choose Mayfield. So right on, he's up there.
All
Got
right,
some points on
you
there.
ready to do your NFL stuff? You got a bunch of it to do.
Let's roll it, brother.
Now it's time for Willie's NFL Breakdown, Power Rankings, and Fantasy.
All right, so I kind of changed it up a little bit this week. My power rankings is still the same, but you're noticing a lot of settling. What I was talking about, the Bears sitting comfortably at number 13. I don't know that they're gonna really stay there, but you're looking at the NFC North being really our number one division right now. Overall in the whole NFL, all these teams are well over 500. They're all looking good. Bears are looking good. It's going to be an interesting challenge to see if they stay up there. Vikings dropped a spot. They're still at number 2, but they got defeated by the Lions. Lions, they look like they dropped a spot from 4 to 5 in my power ranking, but I expect this to kind of reverse. The Lions really had a good showing. Packers at Lambeau Field sitting at a solid 7. I'm showing that they didn't change their ranking at all, so that's going to be kind of important information kind of coming down the stretch when we get more towards playoffs to see how these rankings change. Saints laid an egg to my Broncos and got crushed in the Superdome. And they dropped to 21. Probably going to drop a little further if they keep losing. Falcons actually looked okay, but like I say, they're sitting at 11. Panthers just gonna stay in the basement, just not really playing that great of football, sitting at the 32 spot. Bucks actually seem like they're playing pretty decent right now. At the 10-0, and thanks for our special on the ground reporter there, Moss Sports World. So yeah, Ravens are driving, so that's gonna be an interesting one, especially when I get to do bragging rights on Daniel. But then we got the Texans, who actually looked pretty strong, pretty solid. Like I say, they looked all right, but there wasn't a number 4 rank play in them. They just like I say, they're going to be up there. I could say top 10. I think number 4 is a little strong for them. Colts actually had a great game. Still having a rough time with Richardson. He's starting to get back to 100%, but they pulled out a pretty good win, and I could see the Colts moving up from that 18 spot. And you can see the Colts are pretty solid in that 18 spot. Titans were all right. They just didn't have enough in the tank, and they ended up losing the game. Jags actually played pretty well in London. I actually started Tank Bigsby and Thomas Jr., and they both combined for like 45 or something. So I crushed in fantasy. Thanks, Jaguars. But if you see Tank Bigsby start getting on a roll, they could actually win out and save a playoff spot. I think it's highly unlikely, but we'll see. Cowboys actually, I just randomly dropped them 2 spots because they beat themselves on a bye week. But I was just kidding, just giving you a little hard time there, James. But I was just joking. They couldn't even beat themselves on a bye, but no, they just randomly the power ranking just dropped 2 spots, so that had nothing to do with me. The Eagles are at the number 12. I think they could probably go up. They looked all right, but I mean they were playing the Browns, so we'll see. Washington, they faced quite a bit of adversity this week, and they still ended up just winning, but at the same time, it showed a little bit of adversity with losing Jaden Daniel. And so that's something that if he gets injured, I don't see them retaining that number 8 spot. And Daniel says Broncos have a winnable home game versus Panthers, and then Ravens and Chiefs on the road. So, yeah, the Broncos do have a tough challenge coming up. So that's a good point, bro. So then the Giants are hanging in there at 23. I don't think they're really as bad as they could be. And yeah, New England's like sucking like old England. So yeah, they were over there in old England sucking. But yeah, and Lamar's up there. I don't have Lamar in my fantasy ranking this week, but he's always puts up strong numbers. So then we go over to the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. They're going to be in that top 5 spot. Like I say, they're sitting at 3 in the power ranking. We'll see. I think they could stay there at 3. Then we have like the Steelers. And I saw a funny thing on there where they say got traded. The Vegas lost to the Steelers, then got traded, and then lost to the Steelers again with Rodgers. So, that's going to be rough for Adams. Hopefully, those guys get gelling. Then we had the Browns just kind of dwelling there in the basement, getting crushed. We did see Chubb come back, so that was some pretty good life for them. He did have a pretty solid performance. So that's a sleeper player that you could pick up on your fantasy. Chubb's been sitting on injury reserve for a long time, and he was back running the ball again. We got Bengals sitting down at 22. I could see them coming up. They played okay. They did have some pretty solid drives and stuff, but like I say, I could see them possibly being in the top 20. We had the Rams, who are kind of been basement dwellers this whole season, sitting down at 26. I could see them coming up in the NFC West. Then we have the Seahawks, which they're kind of just teetering in there, but they did play a really good game, and they looked all right, sitting at the 17th spot. 49ers, they played all right, but I just don't know that they're really deserve to be at this number 14 spot. I could see them going up if they would have beat the Chiefs, but they just really didn't have what it took. I think Purdy played a pretty decent game. I like how he stood in the pocket, hit his receivers, but if you're on fantasy, I think he lost Ayuk. He looks like he got a torn ACL, so he's probably out for a few weeks. You have to put him on injury reserve. I don't know what I'm going to do with Ayuk. The Cardinals, we'll see how they come out. I could see them coming into a top 20. They always have solid numbers every week. Their tight end, Connor, always has good running. So I don't see him being down there at 24 per long. Chiefs, I actually did a little reversal on this one. It showed the Chiefs at number 1, and I can't remember exactly what it showed on the power rankings, but I did a little reversal on this one. Like maybe I messed up on how I did it. Maybe I meant to put the Chiefs at number 1, so I probably screwed that up. But I do see the Chiefs at undefeated at number 1 in the NFL. They're firing on all cylinders. Looked really good. Kept their running game going. Mahomes had a few crushing runs. Scored touchdown stuff. So kept them at the number 1 spot in the NFL. Chargers, we'll see tonight how they look. I could see 15 as being an honest spot for them. Broncos are probably going to move up a little. They're saying like the Broncos have like the number 1, number 2 defense in the NFL. We'll see if they can maintain that. And I don't know that that's a real reflection of the overall team rank, but middle of the NFL is actually modest compared to them starting at 30-31, which isn't shown on there. The Raiders, they're kind of going through tough times, and they're sitting down at 27. I could see them dropping further if they don't get a few in the win column. Patriots, I feel, is honest at 31. We actually predicted the Patriots to be bottom of the NFL all year, so the fact that they're above somebody is good news. Dolphins actually really kind of bummed me out. Like I say, I'm not a huge Colts fan, but I really feel that Dolphins kind of blew that game. I really feel that they had a chance that they could have put some points on the board, made that more competitive. I was a little bummed out, but like I say, they're on a second string quarterback stuff, so if they don't get Tua back, they're probably going to remain at that 26th spot. Bills actually showed they deserve to be in the top 10. They might actually go up from the 6th spot next week. They actually played pretty solid football, looked really good, had solid drives, punched it in the end zone, and they were against the Jets. And like I say, the Jets, they're continuing to struggle. I mean, I can see them dropping out of the top 20, but like I say, overall for the whole power ranking system, what I've been doing, you're seeing now that it's starting to kind of even out. All of the teams are not really changing much every week, unless the Cowboys are in there. Then I could change them down a couple. But like I say, I just always drop the Cowboys 2 spots no matter what, and then they got to earn it for me. We can't just give Dak a gold star every week. We got to make him earn those gold stars. So we'll see. And looks like it's popping off over there in hockey world. 3-1 Maple Leafs over Tampa Bay. I got Nylander in my fantasy, so that's pretty good news. Got 2 goals tonight, so that's pretty good. But yeah, really awesome to have you pop in, Moss. Appreciate it. And yeah, that's the thing about Lamar, is he's gonna just avoid those sacks and just pick up the first down, and you better make sure you have him contained if you're gonna blitz him. He'll make you pay. But so we have the game of the week this week. Is that what we're doing next?
Yep. Got your game of the week right here, brother.
All right, so really awesome game with the 49ers and Chiefs, and King James will probably bring up some of the stats that we always look at, and it didn't really seem like they were getting that good of pressure on Mahomes. Mahomes had a lot of rushing yards. I don't know if they show the rushing yards for him alone.
Yeah, we got him right here. Mahomes had 5 rushes for 39 yards.
You know what's funny? Bo Nix had 5 rushes for 75 yards. Or he might have had more rushes, but he had 75 yards rushing. Like, that was just incredible.
The thing you're
But
starting to see with Bo Nix, he's getting better.
oh yeah, yeah, he's a rookie. You can't really compare him to John Elway or Peyton Manning or anything like that. It's
Nope.
like if you want to and compare like that, John Elway had a horrible rookie season and Peyton Manning had a terrible rookie season. But that's the thing. Like he's having pretty good rookie season for what it is. But Mahomes is really just showing what true leaders are made out of. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to get anybody to vomit on air, but man, he just, like I say, he just took that game into his hands and just kept the pressure on him. There was very little mistakes by Mahomes. He did have mistakes, and he did have things that he did wrong. I don't know about the turnovers on interceptions, but I know I think he had a couple interceptions, didn't he?
He had 3 interceptions, and
All right.
San Francisco had 2. But if you actually look, I actually watched the game, and it overall everything was close. As if you look at total yards and everything, Kansas City had 329 yards, and San Francisco had 310. But where the real difference is Kansas City controlled the ball, and they had it for almost 10 minutes longer. So that was a big difference in the game. And plus, San Francisco had 3 interceptions, and Mahomes had 2. So Purdy didn't play real good, and Mahomes. I'm not going to say Mahomes just outdid him, majorly, but I think the difference in looking at this is the way Mahomes controlled the offense. He always controls the offense, which is what he does good, and he runs when he needs to. One that had a really good game was Kareem Hunt. I mean, he had.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that because once you establish that running game, then you have that extra dimension where you could just do that play action. And there was a couple times he did that play action and his receivers were wide open. Like I think one time he even missed Kelsey. Like Kelsey was wide open, and he threw a good ball. It was just Kelsey just couldn't catch it. But
well, I'll tell you one of the things that interests me in this is that there were no receiving touchdowns in this game. All the touchdowns were rushing touchdowns. And Kansas City had 4 rushing touchdowns, and San Francisco had 2. And then when you come over and you look at the defense and everything, and it's just a few little things that make a big difference. But like right here, what was one of those differences is they both, San Francisco did have 2 sacks to Kansas City 1, but when you look at the tackles for loss, Kansas City had 5 tackles for loss compared to 1 for San Francisco.
True.
And San Francisco prides themselves on those sacks and tackles for loss.
Yeah, they were not getting pressure on Mahomes. And the one thing that, Moss was kind of bringing up that point about Lamar Jackson, Mahomes was doing that to San Fran. They were trying to pressure him, and then he'd just kind of get loose, go pick up that first down. Mm-hmm. And I saw a couple times where he didn't even really have to run very hard to pick up that first down.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. And so when you have that, just getting that first down, getting that next set of downs, and then he has a guy like Kelsey or some of his receiving core that can get open, then you're gonna have a tough day against the Chiefs. And I think that's what happened with Mahomes. And I couldn't believe that one where he just ran it into the end zone, because he ran it like a good 20, 30 yards on that one.
Sure.
Like, that touchdown run, that wasn't just like a little tush push like they do over there in Philly. That was a legit run.
Sure, and when
there was
you go,
times he tiptoed the sidelines and everything.
When you go and you look at them, where is you get into where you can flip the field position pretty good. Well, Kansas City had one punt return that was for 55 yards. That's a
Yeah.
big deal. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
it's just little things. You go in and look at these games, break them down, you start to see where it can flip. San Francisco did it once with an interception that they returned 33 yards. And even though Kansas City had three interceptions, there wasn't any big returns. Where they really had a good flip was on one of their punt returns.
Well, and there was one time where even the announcers were freaking out because Mahomes looked like he was just playing backyard football, kind of like act like he was gonna throw it, and then he just tiptoes the sidelines and picks up like 10 or 15. Bless you. And he just tiptoes the sidelines, picks up like 10 or 15 more yards. Got all
Yeah.
the way down to like the 2 or something.
You know, I'll tell you, it reminds me of when 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 Vince Young played at Texas. It, you know,
Okay.
I was looking, one of the comments that Moss made here, and he said Mahomes such a sketchy, timely, good runner, and
Yeah.
and I used to think of the same thing when Vince Young was playing at Texas. He didn't look that fast, and you never knew when he was going to take off because he always was looking to throw if he could. But if he took off, you better have somebody spying him or something because he's gone. I mean, in USC when they played in that national championship game, he tore their ass up, boy. I mean, they come in with that
Yeah.
rush and blitz. If you miss him, you're screwed. And
Oh
that's the way
yeah.
I look at Mahomes. He's slippery. He knows how to move in and out of the pocket, and I thought that
Ooh,
was really good the way he played.
Evans. Evans in the end zone. That'd be a good one for people on fantasy. Wow.
Oh
All
wow!
right, so here's our Chatter League standings. Um, like I said, I could get some of these a little bit wrong too. It's kind of hard to judge who's gonna win and who's gonna lose because it could change a lot tonight. But Cameron sitting over there at 4-3. Paul's perfect team got taken down by me this week. 5-2. Rising Rhino sitting at 6-1. Goose Sports been on a little bit of a skid, losing 3 in a row, sitting at 4-3. Scott Lundquist over there at 4-3. Long Ball Stoners drops to 2-5. Willie's Wild Team over here at 6-1. Dino's TSST at 4-3. Jay's Beetlejuice at 1-6, and then 42 Sigmas at 1-6. Run CMC Sandy at 4-3. True North Maniacs at 4-3. Kermit's Mostats at 3-4. Ruben's Remarkable Team has a little bit of a 3-game losing skid at 2-5. And then Nicola TSST wins his last 3 to go to 3-4. And TJ's Talented Team at there at 3-4. So what a good week. We had a lot of fun doing it. And looks like me and Rhino are tied for first. So this week I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm doing the fantasy winners for week 7. This could be a little bit off because I didn't add in Monday night performances. So some of my players might not be reflected here. We got Jameer Gibbs from Detroit at 32. Saquon Barkley, Philly at 26.7. Joe Mixon, Houston, 26.4. Javonte Williams, Detroit, 26.1. Tank Bigsby at 23.8. Then we had wide receiver Amon St. Brown at 26.5, which that was just, if you go watch that highlights on that game, I think every single time there was a catch or a touchdown or anything, it was St. Brown. Brian Thomas Jr., Jacksonville, crushed it, 22.1. We had Justin Jefferson at 21.4. A.J. Brown, Philly, at 19.9. and DK Metcalf at Seattle, 19.9. So those are all the top performers on those areas. Then we had QB Jalen Hurts from Philly at 22.76. Josh Allen, Buffalo, 21.02. Drake May with the Patriots actually had a really good performance. And he got 20.84 with a bunch of touchdown passes, but still lost the game. Marcus Mariota with 19.8. Jared Goff, 18.8. David Njoku from Cleveland. He's finally back from injury too. He's a kind of a sleeper to pick up at 23. Then we have Genu Smith from Miami at 22, tight end. Brock Bowers from Las Vegas, 19.3. Hunter Henry from New England had a good day at 17.2. And George Kittle with 15.2. And then
George Kittle's good tight end.
The Broncos defense finally pulled through for me. Got me 21 points. I had Washington, another league, did really good with 18. Rams defense at 17. I had the Bengals defense in another league. They did 15. And the Eagles tied them with 15. And then the kickers were Will Lutz from Denver, which I didn't even know because I didn't have Will Lutz, but he got 18. Austin Siebert, who I had in a league, got 17. Daniel Carson had from Las Vegas had 16. Will Richard had 15, and Kanini Ferrain from Houston had 12. So that's all your points leaders from NFL Fantasy for the week.
All right, cool, good job, brother.
And, yeah.
Keep working it.
Yeah, and so I guess Lamar is just like tearing it up out there. So, you know, we're getting ready to freaking try to get this thing wrapped up and get you all out there, watch some Monday night. We'll do the final countdown.
All right.
Time for the final countdown of the week.
All right. Well, my NFL final countdown winner of the week is the Detroit Lions, beating the Minnesota Vikings at home, the undefeated Minnesota Vikings at home. So what a good game Detroit played. Kind of a barn burner. You know, the Detroit Lions became the division champs for the first time 30 years with a late. It wasn't a last second, but it was a really close field goal, and then they defeated the Minnesota Vikings, who were undefeated, to take the NFC North title. Jake Bates kicked a 44-yard field goal with 15 seconds left for the Lions. 31-29 victory on Sunday, handing the Vikings their first loss in back and forth game. And like I say, it was crazy because the Lions actually looked really good early in this game. Took a commanding lead, and then the Vikings got a bunch of turnovers, pushed back quite a bit, and then actually came back and took the lead 29, was it 29-28? Or 29, was it 29-27? Yeah, maybe it was 29-27, I think, and then. Well, no, I'm just saying, like, before they kicked the field goal, like, I think
it was 29-27.
and then no, it'd have to be 28. It'd be 28, 29,
Yeah,
then they
20,
kicked a field goal.
Yeah.
So so they were actually losing by a point, went down the field, 2 minutes left, did a nice 2-minute drill, and then just came back, and looks like Moss is just having all kinds of fun out there with the double Harbor.
Harbaugh games, but the Harbaugh boys.
Yeah, so we got the Chargers and the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
So, Justice Hill scored TD. Nice. Yeah, all right. Lamar's in there too. Oh, flag. All right. But yeah, so it's a lot of fun talk about these, and like I say, I kind of thought about the final countdown segment for the team that wins the last second, and this week it was the Detroit Lions, and like I say, I actually predicted them to be actually going to the Super Bowl and possibly winning the Super Bowl this year.
Awesome.
We'll see. That's my early prediction. You're welcome. You're welcome, Mossy.
14-10.
Ooh,
Ravens
14-10
just scored.
Ravens. Nice. Hopefully they threw to Zay Flowers because I got him on my fantasy. So,
all right.
We'll see how my fantasy's looking.
Well, what do you got for Willie quiz tonight?
Oh man, you're gonna love this one. Super easy. Super easy. Feel free to join in the chat if you guys know the answers and try to beat the mighty King James.
All right, let's cue it up.
You are now entering the zone of the Willie Quiz. Enter at your own risk.
And we always know that Daniel is always sitting there waiting for his chance.
He's always waiting on me.
King
Yeah.
James.
What is that? That's a
Oh.
dog?
Oh, there he goes. Oh, man.
Oh, I hear it. I hear it. Has he
All
walked the
right.
last 2 times? I can't remember.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Rough. All right. Well, good luck, everyone, on the Willie Quiz. So, question number 1. Which Heisman Trophy winner set the all-time NFL rushing yard record? Was it A, O.J. Simpson? Was it B, Barry Sanders? Was it C, Marcus Allen? Was it D, Tony Dorsett? Or is it E, Adrian Peterson? Good luck, everyone.
Well,
See, I told you this was easy.
looking at that, I know who owns the rushing record in second. The one that would have broke it off, he'd have kept playing, would be B, Barry Sanders. So, I mean, he was there. I don't remember exactly what he had, but I know he could have. I think it's B.
All right, so you're going to copy Daniel, huh? All right. Well, that was a pretty good guess, you know, and I'm gonna have to tell you right now that you guys are right. That is the correct answer. It was B. Barry Sanders. I think he still holds the all-time NFL rushing record.
Yeah, I thought that was correct.
All right. So, how many Heisman Trophy winners have gone to be inducted into the NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame? Is it A7? Is it B9? Is it C10? Is it D12? Or is it E14? Good luck, everyone.
That is an interesting question. I sort of remember something about this a while back, like maybe a year and a half ago. And I think it was
Yeah, you'd be right, Moss. At the time, it was OJ for...
Yeah, at the time, but Sanders broke it.
I'd have to do something like more research, like, you know, King James sometimes throws the old challenge flags on me. I gotta, like, you know, research the answers. It was O.J. Simpson at one time, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, Barry Sanders overtook it. I remember that, and they were saying he would have. Nobody probably had ever broke it if he'd have stayed and played.
All right, Moss is going D12.
Damn. Yeah, I was thinking 9 to 10. I'm gonna flip on this.
DJ's going C.
Yeah. I landed on tail, so I'm going with C10. I thought it was 9 or 10. I'm gonna go with C.
Oh man,
That's what the coin states.
I really hate to give you guys the bad news, but once again, you copied Daniel J's answer. It is 10. 10 different members of Heisman Trophy winners have been inducted in the Hall of Fame. I should have them all like sitting here written down so I could name them all off, you know?
Yeah, I remember them talking about it one time, like on Football Sunday or something on Fox. And I remember them talking about Heisman winners. It's right at the start of the season, and they were saying how many. I couldn't remember if it was 9 or 10, but I remember it was right in that range.
All right, well, you were right in that range. So good luck. You're 2-2 so far. You and Daniel neck and neck. All right, which Heisman Trophy winning quarterback was the first to win both a Super Bowl MVP and a regular season NFL MVP? Was it A. Roger Staubach? Was it B. Cam Newton? Was it C. Joe Montana? Was it D. Jim Plunkett? Or was it E. Joe Namath? Good luck, everyone.
This is
all right.
This
could make or break whether you and Daniel stay tied here.
I was thinking about this for a second, and
ooh, he's picking a Dallas Cowboy.
I was actually going with Roger.
Oh man!
I know Roger won a Super Bowl MVP, and he also won a regular season, but it's the first one, so it had to be between A and D and E. And I think I don't think Namath ever won a regular season or Plunkett, if I'm not mistaken. I think
we got Mossy. Ooh, Mossy's coming in with Montana.
Montana was after them, and I know Staubach won. I could have swore he won a regular season MVP. I know he won a Super Bowl MVP. I'm 100% positive on that. So I'm gonna go with A. I think it's A.
Oh man, I cannot believe this, man. This is so crazy. We have Moss picking somebody who is like later. So the question is, who's the first? Oh man, Daniel, I can't believe that King James would copy your answer and be wrong. It was actually Jim Plunkett with the Raiders.
I told you I knew Namath did, but I wasn't sure if Plunkett did or not. God dang it! I knew it was
two.
Plunkett and Namath were before Staubach, and
Right.
that's why I knew Namath didn't. He won a Super Bowl MVP, but he wasn't a regular season. And I couldn't. It was between A and D. So
Yeah, he didn't get the regular season. That's why I threw it in there.
Yeah.
My little E answer.
Okay, that's a good question.
Yeah. I think Montana was a Heisman Trophy winner.
He was. I think he was.
All right, so who is the only Heisman Trophy winner to win both the Heisman and a Super Bowl as a starting quarterback but not be inducted into the Hall of Fame? Was it A, Doug Williams? Was it B, Joe Theismann? Was it C, Jim Plunkett? Was it D, Vinny Testaverde? Or was it E, Dan Marino? Good luck, everyone.
Well, that is interesting because you threw in there to win both a Heisman and a Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, Marcus Allen. Yeah, he wasn't part of that.
I think
Ooh, Daniel's going Joe Theismann.
I wasn't going that direction. I was actually going with Plunkett. But I'm trying to remember if Plunkett won a Heisman. I know he won a Super Bowl. Vinny.
I don't know if Dan Marino was a Heisman Trophy winner.
I don't think Dan Marino was either.
Doug Williams was.
I'm going to go with C. I think it's Plunkett because I know he hadn't been inducted in the Hall of Fame, but I know he won a Super Bowl. I just couldn't remember if he won a Heisman. I think he did. So I'm going to go with C.
Oh, Mossy's taking Doug Williams. Oh, Mossy could take command of right answer here.
I'm going with this. So we got A, B, and C that's been altered.
Good thing you're not copying Daniel because the answer is C. Jim Plunkett is the correct answer. So you take the lead there, King James, and
I thought because I knew he won a Super Bowl, and I know he hasn't been inducted in the Hall of Fame. People have complained that they should put him in, and I thought he won a Heisman, but I wasn't 100% sure on that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like Vinny Testaverde. I know he was a Heisman Trophy winner, but
yeah.
All right. So, which Heisman Trophy winner from the 1990s had famously underwhelming NFL career, lasting only a few seasons with multiple teams? Was it A, Ricky Williams? Was it B, Gino Tortorella? Was it C, Desmond Howard? Was it D, Eddie George? Or was it E, Vinny Testaverde? Good luck, everyone.
This is a good
Oh yeah,
question
and
here.
Moss actually got Plunkett right from.
I was sitting there thinking about it, and I know for sure Desmond Howard played for a lot of teams, and he didn't have the career they thought he was going to have. Ricky Williams, he didn't play for a lot of teams. He just was smoking dope too much.
Oh yeah.
Gino,
Oh dude, Moss is.
oh,
Picking
he's saying the
Desmond
same thing I am. Okay.
Oh dude, everyone's going Desmond Howard.
Well, I guess I was right in my first thought on that, so I'll stick with C.
I mean, are you sure you don't want to flip any coins or anything? You're pretty
No,
confident.
it was my first thought. I knew he played for a lot of teams and didn't have the career they thought he was going to have.
Oh man, I can't believe that I have to do this, but you guys are all freaking wrong. It was B. Gino Tortorella who actually won the Heisman and did not do nothing. Went to like all these different teams, and Desmond Howard actually had a little bit of success. Ricky Williams had a little bit of success. Eddie George, actually, we all heard about Eddie George. He did great. So, congratulations, everybody. Thanks for participating. And I got you, King James. I got you.
I got 3 out of 5, and I still did the best.
3 out of 5, and you beat Daniel. So Daniel goes 2-5. So
that's 3 times in a row, Daniel. I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
we'll give Mossy the tie at 2-5. We'll give Mossy a tie. Oh, King James. Just reverse jaws that. Oh man.
Daniel's when I come up there to Colorado, I'm going to hang out with you. He's going to whip my rear end.
Daniel he'll just swoop out of a tree and just rip that. He'll just rip that crown right off your golf cart. That's what he'll do.
That's funny.
But no, that's awesome. Thanks everyone for joining in. Appreciate it. Thanks Mossy for jumping in. Appreciate it. And yeah, he didn't do nothing. Yeah, and like I say, I'll give Mossy the benefit of the doubt. Like
I like the question.
Yeah. What's that?
I said, I like doing all these questions. I just like to see if I can get them or not. I actually
just wait, Daniel. It's coming. King James is gonna do the reversal, and all of a sudden the quiz is gonna be on me and you. So, what I mean. Pretty soon it's gonna be me on the hot seat. So,
the last 3 I've gone 13 or 15. That's not bad.
Yeah, you've done really good, and like I say, I think I've been doing a little bit better picking the topics and just trying to get a little bit things that are like out of market. But the thing is that everyone learns. Like that's what's so awesome about it. Like no matter who gets it right or who wins, everyone learns at the end of it, and it's really fun. Like I like it, especially NFL trivia.
Oh yeah.
I grew up like just wanting to know all that stuff. Like we used to just sit there and go look for the latest newspaper, anything showing anything about Walter Payton. Like when I was growing up.
I remember going to newspapers and keeping up with the teams. I used to like the Fort Worth Star-Telegram and the Dallas News. I'd get both of them and keep up with recruiting along with Dave Campbell's Texas football. I mean, and Lindsay Sports and Athlon. I mean, Sporting News. Those were all my go-to. I'd still buy them today and go through and review them. So good reading material.
Yeah. Absolutely. So thanks so much, everyone, for joining in the live Willie quiz, which I think that's what makes it so hard is it's live. Like you could Google it. If you have enough time, you can Google it, and you might get them all right. But I try to make them hard enough to where it'd be tricky to Google. Like sometimes I try to Google them. I even go on AI, and I'm like, hey, King James is going to try to answer this, and then it's all, well, King James is going to get it wrong, but it's so funny. Like, now you go on AI, it's like, who is King James Stallcup? And it'll sit there and give you a whole breakdown of who King James Stallcup is. I thought it was pretty funny because we did the whole King James thing as a joke, and now it's spread all the way. Even AI, you can't lie to AI now. It's already came in and it already knows who you are, man. So it's too late. It's already spread too far.
I know you're upsetting Jeremy doing that.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, he just wants me to show him circling air, and I freaking show him a picture where he circled air, and he's just all mad. He's like, "Oh, who circled that?"
Yeah, I'm waiting. This doesn't have anything to do with football podcast, but I'm looking forward to the second draft coming out. So I want to see what it says. Apparently, they're not happy.
Well, we'll see. I'm gonna try to give a shout out to Bryce over there from Berkeley and see if he wants to come on the show. That'd be awesome to have him on.
That'd be awesome. I mean,
have him explain some of his comments to
we're
us.
like the number one team in the country. We're being proven right.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's so funny because they were like, nah, they're not going to listen to you guys, and then now they're listening to us. But it was funny because the EBSE thing was really funny because I'm like, okay, so you're going to say that's an outlet over here, but then you're not saying over here,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so then I went and I threw the public input in. They're like, oh, man, good one, Bill. Yeah, we got to put outlet in there. I was like, all right, what's your technical merit? And he was sitting there, Bryce was sitting there saying, he goes, there's not been a single injury worldwide on this equipment. Why do you have to make this change?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't, do you see them? They didn't have a single answer. Like, they were just, those guys are just ghosts, like, just,
Ghost.
What are we going to say now?
And
I knew. That's why the whole reason I submitted it.
Going to be a fun 2025.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks everyone for joining. I really appreciate it. We had a great time talking football with y'all. Feel free to put your favorite teams in the comments. Talk about them. We can rip on the Cowboys any day of the week. So just keep that in mind. Like anytime you got Cowboy jokes, bring them on in here. We'll talk about them, discuss them, see if they're valid about Dak Prescott or any of the Cowboys. We're totally fine with those kinds of jokes. So feel free to jump in here. And we got horns and hurricanes, dude. I'll give you a horns and hurricanes, bro. Yeah, we'll give you a horns and hurricanes up in here, man. Just as long as the hurricanes aren't making landfall, that'd be the only problem. But, big shout out to all our people out there in the hurricane zones. Really glad y'all are safe, and hopefully these whole things kind of tone down a little bit coming into the winter months, and a lot of those waters out there cool down and stop all these violent hurricanes.
Amen.
But that's all I got, brother, and thanks everyone for joining. Thanks, Moss. Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate you jumping in. And as always, remember, make every day an easy day.
Amen. Everybody have a good week. I'm going to go watch some football here in just a second, and we'll see a lot of people come Thursday for the High Voltage Live podcast. So, all right, let's wrap it up.
All right. Thanks, Moss. Have a good night, sir.
Later, guys.